There's the mainstream media. Now it's funny. They're unloading that karma. It's about as mainstream as this crap gets. Thanks to Cassandra, because I completely missed this. The next crisis in 2015. The future might very soon remind us that for over a quarter of a century, a major financial and economic crisis has occurred every 7 years. I thought the talk of a crash and collapse was all conspiracy. I'll put this link below. You can see they lay it all out for you. In October 1987, Dow Jones lost 22.6% in a single day. But guess what? The Federal Reserve came to the rescue. Then it happened again 7 years later, in December of 1994. Then it happened 7 years after that again, in April of 2001. But the Fed managed to calm the situation again by creating a flood of liquidity in the economy. And then everybody knows about the summer of 2008 because they talk about it all the time. We are nearing the end of a new 7-year period. Bubbles have formed again everywhere, and if growth does not materialize, there is no growth. The United States economy has contracted. Europe keeps reporting more and higher unemployment numbers. China defaulted on its debt, some of its debt, not all of it, but there have been debt defaults. Japan is more. There's no growth. Or if a geopolitical crisis puts a halt to it, like Ukraine and Russia, and China and Japan and Thailand. They had someone supposedly over in Thailand that set themselves on fire over these protests with China over those stupid islands. You got the whole Israel and Middle East thing, which has never been more agitated as it is now. A complete rise of violent Islam in Africa. South America, I hear, is Venezuela specifically is more of a war zone than Ukraine, I hear, because they're all bankrupt down there. How about North and South Korea? Things are going to change. So if growth does not materialize, or if a geopolitical crisis put a halt to it, the bubbles will burst, interest rates will rise, securing debt financing will become very difficult, globalization will do the rest, and markets, which no longer say the fair value, yeah, no kidding, will panic once again. In all logic, the crisis should be triggered in 2015. And guess what? This time there are going to be no solutions but to foot the bill. In plain language, this means repaying accumulated debts or canceling them. That's right, because the Fed's got no more tools. Once this thing crashes, they're not going to have anything to fix it like they have the other times, even though they never fixed it. They just put a Band-Aid on a problem, which is exactly what this thing says, which is exactly why it's going to take place, and it's not going to end well. Because it basically says that if this isn't addressed in a courageous and tenacious manner, it's trouble. And that's been the problem the whole time. All they've done is kick the can down the road, made a few cuts here and there, but nothing like they needed to. And all they did is just no difficult actions, no difficult decisions, none of that stuff was made. So it's pretty funny to see the mainstream media lay it all out here and say, you know what, after all, collapse and crash of the economic kind, it's not necessarily a conspiracy. In fact, it really just seems to be history. And don't even take into account how the feds have just warned about rising food prices. You got the California drought. Now I hear that North Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas are reaching those drought conditions. And in fact, everything from coffee to shrimp has been seen rising and is going to rise for the foreseeable future. Things are going to change, and they know all this stuff. They absolutely do. So we'll see. And it's funny that this talks about in 2015 and about how every 7 years since at least 1987 we've had a major economic crisis, right? Because 2015, that's what they say is when it's supposed to happen now, based on logic, as they say. You go back to that movie, The Running Man. Remember, coincidentally enough, which is I recovered this in the video where there was somebody pointed out to me about how the crashes have taken place every 7 years. Did not know that. And this movie that came out in the 80s says by 2017 the world economy has collapsed. Food, natural resources, and oil are in short supply. A police state divided into paramilitary zones, or FEMA regions probably, rules with an iron hand. And the movie opens with Arnold Schwarzenegger in a helicopter talking about how there's food riots, I think, in downtown Los Angeles. Wow, talk about a dead-on prediction. Must have just been coincidence or a shot in the dark. Certainly it wasn't a big setup after all. I had someone ask me on here what I'm doing to personally prepare. Me and the wife, we bought a year's worth of food from foodinsurance.com in 2011. We've been periodically buying cases of bottled water because we've learned that it's easier to store that than jugs. We have a gun and some ammo. We go to the gym when we can. We have a little bit of silver for fun. We have a bug-out box, a bug-out bag, a plan, and the rest is all put in faith in God and Christ, and that's the truth. Because that's what's coming no one's seen before. These guys believe in the spiritual aspect of all this stuff, and I certainly do too. And I know that that's going to play a big part of it. I'm ready to go down swinging, man. I am. Screw this place. I'm not miserable. I don't hate my life. I'm not depressed. I love my life. I love my wife. I love everything I got going on. But this place is gross. These guys have done really awful things. They have set us up, set our family up, set our friends up. Nothing would make me happier than to go down swinging. They don't like me talking about this stuff. They don't like you talking about this stuff. That's all we can do. People got all inspired by that movie Braveheart. You know what I mean? That's what this... What else are you going to do? You know? Might as well go down swinging. And real quick, RPR, his channel got attacked and shut down, so he's on his alternate channel here, so I'll put this link below in case you didn't know. So, thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks for all the support. Thanks again to Cassandra for finding this. Great stuff. So much for conspiracy. Imagine that. Thanks, teammates and subs.